When I was a little kid, I would make these drawings that I was so proud of. And when I showed them to my parents or teachers, they would act like it was the most amazing thing they'd ever seen. Even though they were all weird and scribbly, like all kids' drawings are. As I grew up and got more into art, my parents got me these cheap art sets that would have markers and paint and oil pastels and all kinds of fun stuff that I never used before. When I was in high school and started looking at colleges, my mom helped me look for schools that had a strong art education program and a good ceramic studio because she was supporting me in my dream. My parents and teachers have fully supported me in what I want out of life. This is how we should be supporting the next generation. This is what I want to see in art education, and really in all education. For some reason, though, art isn't taken as seriously as other subjects in school, but it should be. Many people's excuse is that they won't be painting all the time once they leave school. But when was the last time you used calculus? I'm guessing it was the final exam for your calculus class in high school or college. How about all the dates of battles during the American Revolutionary War? It isn't because these things aren't important, it's because there's a bigger picture, a bigger lesson than what is at surface level. When you are learning about all these topics and techniques and are memorizing facts, you are also learning life skills like critical thinking, how to manage your time, and even branching out and taking risks. We all have taken plenty of art classes throughout elementary, middle, and high school, and into college for some people. However, like I said earlier, many of you are probably not professional artists. But even still, so many people consider art to have been one of their favorite subjects in school. That's not just because they enjoy spending hours on end on a single piece of work the size of an open notebook. There is something more there that some of them grab onto. Something that you can't find in a textbook. It has to do with everything else going on that the majority of people don't think about when they think of an art class. Throughout my childhood, I was always given very specific instructions whenever I was in art class. I was told to use these colors on this size paper, and draw this thing using this medium. I was given some freedom, but there was always examples and guidelines that limited us. When I was a freshman in high school, there was one project in art class that blindsided me. My teacher passed out sheets of paper and handed us tape, telling us to put 3 pieces on our paper. I looked around confused as the whole class waited for more instruction, but we got none. She repeated the instruction, and we all had no choice but to guess. There was no demonstration to guide us. We continued like this as she handed us a shoe and a container of paint, then 2 oil pastels and the instruction to define the positive and negative space. My head was spinning and butterflies swirled in my stomach as I faced the fear of screwing up my artwork. Then something happened. She told us there was no such thing as messing this up. It was all up to our interpretation. I began to relax a bit with that reassurance. There was still a tingle in my stomach, but it was different now. It was closer to excitement. That day, I learned something different that I couldn't fully appreciate until years later as a college art student. You see, we already knew how to use the tools and what the vocabulary meant, so she knew she didn't have to go over that. I can see now that she was teaching us a form of freedom I could never get from just being told how to use a paintbrush. She didn't have to push us like this, but she chose to. She worked to push our understanding of art and gave us the opportunity to expand our horizons. She taught us how to take a risk, and showed us how it's okay and it's good. Without pushing these other lessons, there are people who will never get anything out of art class. It takes more than that, though. It takes the whole community. There is no way a teacher can expand upon these types of lessons if a student doesn't get any support like that at home. I saw this in college when I was doing observations in a high school classroom. There was a boy that was amazing. His art was remarkable for a high schooler, but he didn't care about art. His teacher had to bargain with him to get him to work because he considered his other classes to be more important. This happens because so many people don't see any value in art if they don't get any support in that area, both in the classroom and at home. I want to challenge the idea of what so many people consider to be the point of art class. As a community, we need to build up the youngest generation so that they are well-rounded, and ready to make a positive impact on the world. When a small child shows a weird and colorful scribble, we need to show them that their effort has value, which is why we hang it on the fridge. When that 10-year-old decides that they want to try experimenting with clay, we need to give them that opportunity because branching out and taking risks is important. When that 16-year-old says that they want to go to school for art, we need to support them. Art is more than just a pretty picture. It has depth, meaning, and passion embedded in it. When I am teaching hundreds of students, I want to be somebody that every single one of them feels comfortable coming up to with an idea, because my classroom is a safe space. I want to introduce them to artists that work for social change, artists from different backgrounds. I want to show them art from different cultures so that my students feel represented. Every single person deserves the chance to get that from their education. So I leave you with a question. What are we really teaching in art class?